I try not to be a guy who lives on ifs and buts. You know, my old man's always saying, if ifs and buts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas. I can't do that with this. I'm not I'm not happy.
And here we go.
All right. That's it. 2026's edition of Strongman Corp Canada Ontario Provincial Championships in the books. There is a lot of stuff to get through. I have, over the course of the last year or so, curried some goodwill with the nice, fine strongman community of Ontario. And I may destroy all that tonight. Today, whenever this gets posted, but we'll see. A couple of disclaimers before I get into this. It's going to be a long one. I'm hoping that future Phil sees current Phil recording this and remembers to put chapters on the YouTube video so that if there's a specific thing you want to hear me talking about, you can just jump right ahead to that rather than listen to me ramble for the old. This will probably be close to an hour if I had to guess right now. We'll see how close I am. Bet the over on that. Um, so I'm gonna hopefully future Phil remembers to put the chapters in to make things easier. Number two, all of the opinions that I express here are solely my own. They are not that of any of my friends, my family, or any other competitor on the strongman scene. These are strictly my opinions as a competitor. That is it. And if you're going to get mean and nasty because you disagree with my opinions, then smash that dislike button and unsubscribe. I'm okay if you disagree with me. I'm okay having a conversation if you disagree with me. I may disagree with things you say, but I'll still defend to the death your right to say them. But I'm not going to stand for bullying. Kind of foreshadowing. That's foreshadowing in the film business. So heads up. Um, but that's going to come later. Before we get to that, let's go over the show and I'll recap the events and how I did. So let's get into that. Event one was a yoke, 50 feet by 50 feet for time, 745 pounds. In training, my yoke has gone way better. I would say since being back with JF as my coach, my yoke has improved tenfold. That showed at Goliath Games when I did the 625 pound, 40, 55. What the heck was our yoke at Goliath Games? Should I look it up because I'm sitting right here? I should, shouldn't I? You know what? Let's do that together. Let's look up the Goliath Games weight. 660 was the Goliath Games weight. So 660 yoke, I did it in, I believe, 30-ish seconds. If I scroll down here all the way to the bottom, let me just hang on, bear with me. Yoke, 29 seconds. So I did that yoke in 29 seconds. Again, it was 50 feet by 50 feet. So I was fairly confident going into this show that my yoke would hold up. I knew there were some people that would blow me out of the water, but I also knew I was going to finish it and would finish it in decent time. And I did 43 seconds, well, 43.32 seconds. Good enough for sixth, middle of the pack, and 7 points. So a good start. I'll take that. There were 4 people that didn't finish it. And the fastest time, this is where it gets interesting. The fastest time was Scott Noble at 30.61, who beat Adam. And I'm not going to try to pronounce Adam's last name because I've butchered it, but nice little Adam. He did it in 30.94. That was close. And that's only because Adam dropped it on the way back. He made it down the first 50 feet in 10 seconds, maybe 9 seconds. He flew. And then he was telling me after that he didn't rebrace properly when he turned around to come back. So he was trying to catch his brace as he was coming back down the run and couldn't find it and dropped it a few times. So it cost him, I want to say 7 or 8 seconds. So he would have done that in well under 30 seconds. Adam flew. But good on Scott for staying consistent in his run and getting the win on that. We moved on to the Trump Circus dumbbell for reps. Lightweight was 165, heavyweight was 180. I knew I wasn't going to get the 180, even on a good day, just with the way my dumbbell has gone through prep, but I knew the 165 would be there. This is where I needed to listen to my coach and listen to my own advice of being smart, not trying to be a hero, not trying to um, go beyond my means just for the sake of it. I wanted to get the 165 because I wanted to get the points. I saw a few people ahead of me zero the event. That just reaffirmed my decision to go for the 165 to get the points. I only got one, which is unfortunate. I really wanted at least two, but I'll take the one. There were 6 people that didn't finish it, so there was some big points to be made on this event, even with the one rep. There were a couple of, so I got sixth on that and 7 points, so the exact same. So 14 points after 2 events. Feeling pretty good. By this point, I kind of knew that the podium would be out of my reach just based on how everyone else was doing, but felt pretty confident in my standing overall. 6 people didn't finish it. So again, big points there. Scott had the best. He had 4 reps on the heaviest. So Scott was off to a good start as well. I was middle of the pack, which was my goal for the day. It was perfect. We moved on to loading medley. This was the one that I knew was going to cost me the most points. I wasn't even sure I was going to finish this. The Inukshuk has been the bane of my existence since they introduced it in 2024. I have never had good luck with it. And not even good luck. I just haven't been good with it. I'm not even going to say luck. I've just been terrible with it, to put it bluntly. I've tried to pick it up different ways. I've tried to work with it. I bought one and have struggled with it. I even struggled with the regular sandbag in prep. So our weights were 250-pound keg, 275-pound regular sandbag, and a 250-pound Inukshuk bag. And we had to load them over a 52-inch bar, 51-inch bar. They had 2 yokes set up side by side with the right heights. So basically what we would do is we would grab the keg, throw it over, grab the sandbag, throw it over, and then get the Inukshuk that was positioned sideways, pick it up, and throw it over. Just based on the setup and how it was, that was the best way to do that. There was the only way I think they could have done it where everything was facing straight on is if they just had one big giant rail, which one would have been too costly to build and too a pain in the ass to move around. So this was the best option for that. Again, you're not going to get a platform built to do it. You're probably not going to find enough platforms in the community. You may. I'm going to touch on implements and some ideas for the implements later, but that's for later. Anyways, ended up finishing this run. I got all 3 in 35.54 seconds. I was impressed with how I did on this. I was impressed that I finished it. It was the reverse of what I thought was going to happen. I thought the keg would be the easiest, the Inukshuk would be the hardest. It was the opposite. I had fits trying to get my hand placement on the keg to load it over. The regular sandbag was okay. I have a bicep issue I've been dealing with. So it already being standing up, I was able to tip it into that bicep and then scoop the other side so that I didn't have to scoop the weak side off the ground. I just tipped it in, picked it up, and loaded it. And then the Inukshuk, I lapped it and scared the hell out of myself. Like as soon as I lapped it, I was like, oh, and then I hiked it up high enough that when I threw it over, the feet maybe barely touched the crossbar. Like it, it scared the hell out of me how well I moved the Inukshuk. So got 3 points on that. It was the second slowest time, but you know what? I'll take it. I finished it. I got 3 points. My plan and the plan in training and the plan going into this was whatever points I lose on the loading medley, I will make up on the deadlift. And I've said this before, announcing your plans is a good way to hear God laugh. Trap bar deadlift. I'm not going to get into thoughts and feelings on it right now. I will later in the video. But for right now, this is just the recap portion. Low handle trap bar deadlift for reps, 575 pounds. I got through 5 reps fairly easily, feeling pretty confident. On the 6th rep, it slipped forward. The crossbar came down and crushed my big toe on my right foot. Took me out of it. I finished with 5 reps, got 7 points out of it, which I was happy with. Everybody else got at least 1. Most reps was Jake with 12. I certainly didn't have 12 reps in me. But 5 was not my limit on that. And like I said, I have more to say on that after, but for now I will stick with the recap. So we moved on to the tire flip. I need to give a special thanks here to Caitlin Farrow. I was sitting with my leg up. I had some ice on it. It was being looked after. Caitlin came over and she looked at it and she said, well, she said, I can put an ice bag on it and tensor it, and that'll kind of be your day. And I said, no, tape them together. Tape my big toe to the toe beside it. I will keep ice on it until the tire flip, but I am finishing this show. I am trying the tire. I will do it on one leg if I have to. And I was already kind of formulating a plan on how I was going to do that. But there was no way I wasn't going to try the tire. I was so pissed at how the deadlift went that I needed something to take it out on, and my decision was to take it out on the tire. And it's future Phil's problem what happens. So Caitlin, thank you. You did a bang up job piecing me back together. We go to the tire, 705 pounds of. They decided to move the tire outside, which was the right decision because the floor on the inside had become very wet and very slippery, and there was no real way to get it clean. And trying to get those big tires up isn't just a lift straight up. You need to kind of go into it to get it to pivot where you can get a knee under it and then flip it. And to try and do all that on a slippery floor is super dangerous. So Andrew, who was running the show, made the decision, look, we're going to do it outside. We got a window here with the weather. We're going to do it outside because at least then we can flip it on asphalt, which was the right decision because obviously way better grip on asphalt than on the floor on the inside. And I realized I pronounced asphalt 2 different ways there. Pick the best way. 705 pounds. I got 1 flip. Used 55 seconds of my 1 minute, but I had to adjust how I did it. So instead of putting my chest into it and putting pressure on both of my feet, I had to put a shoulder under it, under one of the treads, to pop it up sort of football style in order to get it up off the ground to a point where I could get my weak foot under it and drive with my back leg to then flip it. It was going well, but with how slippery it was because of the rain, I could not get a good grip on my hands to get it up off my knee. I tried to hike it up a bunch. I eventually got it to go and it went. 1 rep, I got 3 points out of it. I'll take it. On a bum leg, I'll absolutely take it. Most reps for that was Jake and Ryan. They had 5 flips each. Good for them. So that was the show. Didn't zero anything, which is great, especially given the loading medley. That's a big win. I finished 8th with 27 points, a half point back of Bo, who finished 7th. The podium went to Jake, who had 56.5 points, Scott, 48 points, and Ryan, 44.5 points. From there on down, it was Mark, who had 39. This is where it starts to spread out a little bit. Mark had 39.5 points, Adam, 36.5, so only a 3-point spread there. A bit of a cluster here with Tyson taking 6th and the final qualifying spot for nationals, 28.5 points, 1 point up on Bo, as I mentioned, who finished 7th. Myself, half a point back of Bo and 1.5 points back of Tyson. I finished 8th. This is where I start to get a little spicy over the deadlift, but we'll come back to that. Alex with 21 points, Trevor Rogers with 18 points, and tying Paul Longboat with 18 points as well. And then Pav who I need to give a special thanks to Pav here. I was going to do it in a different section, but I'll do it here. Pav was hurt from the weight pit, and not hurt from the weight pit. Pav represents the weight pit. It's his gym. He got hurt elsewhere. Could not compete. He weighed in, decided it wasn't worth the risk. Instead of bowing out and dropping us from 12 athletes to 11, he stayed in to give a better point spread and to give a break to some athletes and to keep a qualifying spot. We had 13 until one athlete dropped out, and we went from 7 qualifying spots down to 6. So that hurt us. Pav decided to stay in just in case something else happened. So thank you very much to Pav. That is the most sportsmanlike thing you could have done. I appreciate it. All of the other athletes appreciate it as well. So the ones going to nationals, as I mentioned, are Jake, Scott, Ryan, Mike, Adam, and Tyson. That can change depending on if guys drop out, guys get hurt. I know at least one gentleman who's not going. I'm not going to name him here because that's not my place. And another one who is hurt. Again, it was an injury during the show. Again, I'm not going to say what the injury was or is because I didn't hear this directly from him, and I'm not going to speculate, and I'm not going to name him, but I do know that there is one injured athlete. So that means Bo and I could both be going to nationals. I am going to wait for my confirmation before I announce anything because I do not like to jump the gun. But if the one gentleman opts not to go and the other one is hurt and can't go, those 2 spots should get moved down to Bo and myself. That's how it should go. If it doesn't go that way, I don't know what to tell you. My season's over. I'm either going to Quebec at the end of September or I'm not. I'll wait and see. Overall, my performance, I'm happy with for the most part. I'm going to take the deadlift out of this because up until I got hurt, it was going really, really well and going according to plan. Really happy with how my yoke has progressed this season. Would have liked a little bit more on my circus dumbbell. But again, given how it went in training, I'll take that as a win. The deadlift, like I said, went really well up until that point. The loading surprised the hell out of me. I know I was the second slowest guy to do it, but considering I didn't think I was going to finish it at all, I'm 100% taking that as a win. And this is part of my philosophy going into this year is last year, if I had done that, I still wouldn't have been happy. I'm at least happy that I finished it. It's giving me the confidence I need in my ability to load implements because that's been a struggle for me my career. I'll say I don't get paid to do this, so I don't really call it a career, but in the time I've been doing the hobby, I guess loading has been a struggle for me. So to be able to finish that, I'm happy with. And then the tire flip, again, given the bum foot, I'm glad I got at least 1 rep. With healthy feet, I don't know. I certainly wouldn't have done 5 reps. 2 or 3, 2 would have been doable. 3, maybe. Again, depending on how much I burned myself out on the deadlift, but definitely more than 1. But I'll take the 1 on that. Okay, that was my performance. That's where I finished. That was my group, the U120s for provincials. Special thanks portion now as I get into the rest of the video. Special thanks to my coach, JF Caron, for all the help this season. I started back with JF earlier this year. He helped me prep for Goliath Games, which got me to a podium finish there, which I was really happy about, and potentially into my national qualifier, which was my goal for this year. I have a hard time with the qualifier. I'm just going to plug this in here. I might bring it up again later in the video, but I'll do it here. I don't like handouts. I don't. I just don't feel like I earned it. I don't like finishing on a podium when there's 3 guys, and I don't like being gifted a qualifying spot because someone got hurt or someone doesn't want to go. I'm going to take it because I'm going to take the opportunity to compete, and I want to compete, and I want to go there, and I want to be there on that level. So I'm not going to say no to it, but it doesn't mean I got to like it because I wanted to legitimately finish in a position where I could say, I'm going. We have 6 qualifying spots. I got one of those qualifying spots. That's the standard I hold myself to. That's what I want out of me. I'm not going to, like I said, I'm not going to say no, but I expect more from myself in that moment. But that said, I'm still going to do it. So thank you, JF, for all the help this season, and I look forward to the rest of it. Tamara, I don't know what to say or where to start. Tamara has all season long been the one to keep me together physically and mentally. She, from doing my FST and listening to me bitch and moan on the table about life and training and prep, to being there at this show and keeping me in one piece, I don't know where to begin to thank you for all of that help. I certainly would not have been in the shape mentally or physically that I was in without your help and without you by my side. So thank you for that. The volunteers that dedicated their time took took their weekend, really. I don't know if they were there on Sunday doing anything, but they were certainly there Friday and Saturday setting up and tearing down. I said this in my other video, and I'm going to repeat myself here, even though I don't like chewing my food twice. Without the volunteers, these shows don't happen. They just don't. We don't have anybody there to load equipment. We don't have anybody there to set up a show, to tear it down, to switch events, to take score sheets, to put score sheets in. We don't have any of this without volunteers because no one gets paid to do this. This is all volunteer work. So without them, we don't get to do that. Thank you to the judges who all held the athletes to a high standard. I heard maybe one complaint about judging, but I mean, on a show this size with this many people, you're going to get people complaining about things. That's just how it goes. It's human nature. For what it's worth, I didn't see any of the other lanes. I'm not going to speak on them. I'm only going to speak on our lane. The judges we had were very strict and very specific about the rules. One thing I did like that Andrew made clear in the athletes meeting, there's two things Andrew made clear. One was the tiebreaker was going to be the yoke time, because the odds of there being a tie on the yoke are just astronomical. I haven't seen all the other scores to know if there was one. I assume there wasn't, because that would be insane. So I think that was a good way to do it, because then it saves doing a tiebreaker event, sixth event, like sandbag over bar. I was having PTSD moments in that moment. So that was a good decision on the judge's part. And two, what was two? Oh, two was hard time. And by that, I mean, it doesn't matter where you are on the implement. If your time runs out, your time runs out. That's it. And I liked that because it's the same for all the events. That way there was no like, oh, on the dumbbell, if I rack it, do I still get to finish it? But on the deadlift, I don't get to finish it if I've started it. No, no. When your time's up, your time's up. That's it. And people can disagree with that all they want. I didn't hear too many people disagree with it because it was the same across the board for all the events. We had 140 athletes to get through, which that's my next point. So that was the best way to do it. I thought that was a really good decision. Thank you to the athletes, 140 athletes. I remember when I first started in 2023, the U120 division was new. Either that year or the year before, it was a relatively new division, and we had 5 guys. We had 13 that were supposed to be there. So and then 11 really compete. So it's grown. I know there's more than that. I know more people qualified. There were more U120s out there this season that could have been there and weren't for whatever reason. But I know the division has grown and the show's grown. Like 140 athletes is amazing. That's terrific. Caitlin Farrow, again, thank you for keeping me in one piece. Andrew, Pat, and Ann, the trio, as far as I know, were the ones that really put this show together and ran it. Um, Andrew, who dealt with some drama throughout the season, he was always there to answer questions when people had them, even if he had to repeat himself on it. He was answering DMs, answering phone calls. Um, busy, 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 on top of having a full-time job, having a wife, his own training. He has his clients, he has his own show to prep for. He had his own show he was hosting, so he had a lot going on. And Pat, who continue to run shows. I didn't get a chance to do their Static Monster event up in Sudbury this year. I'm very disappointed, because I've always wanted to do one of Anne's shows, and didn't. And by the way, Anne, thank you if you're listening, for the message you sent me Sunday morning. I'm gonna say this morning because I'm recording this on Sunday, but it's probably gonna go out Monday. Thank you for the Sunday morning message that you sent me. Truly, it touched me, and thank you. You've been one of the most consistent people I've met through this sport, in being in my ear at these shows. Whenever I'm doing an event and I'm lifting something, Anne is the loudest, happiest one there, and it it makes it makes me want to do better as an athlete. So thank you, Anne. Pat, I didn't get a chance to talk to you much. You were running around, but thank you. I wish I'd had a chance to shake your hand and talk to you, but you were busy. Sonia, thank you for being on the score sheet. With no live stream, the live score sheet is super important, and Sonia was on it the whole day. Like, you opened it, you refreshed it, boom, scores were there. I thought it was going to be a case of like, okay, when the lane is done, then we'll get the score sheet. No, no. My class was finished. The open guys were next. Our scores were in there. Like, Sonia was on it. The scorekeepers were on it for handing the cards in. It was amazing. That Sonia did such a good job doing that. So thank you. So that's the special thanks. If I've forgotten anybody, I apologize immensely. I took as many notes as I could. I need to take more notes throughout the show and throughout the days leading up to doing this recap video so I don't forget people. If I forgot you, I apologize. I have a very small, smooth brain and I forget things. So we're going to do some good points now after the special thanks. I love the venue. Doing them in the arenas is always the best option because you don't need to worry about the weather for the most part. Obviously, there's exceptions or some things you kind of have to do outside, as we got stuck with. But the inside is great because it keeps the athletes on the floor and in their spot, and then the spectators up in the stands to watch. If I could have made one change or one suggestion, it would have been after the yoke to flip everybody 180 degrees. So in this arena versus arenas in the past, there was only seating on the one side. So if you were sitting at the glass, it went lane 4, 3, 2, and 1 was the furthest away from you. So for spectators watching lane 1, it's the farthest away from them. We didn't need a lot of distance once we got through the yoke. I would have liked to have seen it all pivot 180 degrees so that the spectators now see all 4 lanes straight on and they can move around depending on which lane they're watching. That would have been the only thing, but with how high the seating was, I don't think it really made a difference. The pacing was really good up until the last event when Mother Nature decided to dump on our parade. The volunteers and changing the implements over and making sure we were ready to go for the next thing was flawless. Like, we were able to warm up while the events were still going on. We'd finished warming up and then boom, we're ready to go. Like, if it was really good. The pacing was very well done given that there was that many athletes and that many implements to get through. So I had no problem with that. Okay. We are about half an hour into this video, and I'm going to bring the tone down a little bit because I do have criticisms. I I try not to be a guy who lives on ifs and buts. You know, my old man's always saying, if ifs and buts were candy and nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas. I can't do that with this. I'm not happy. And I'm just I've been trying all day. I've been fighting all day with how to say this, with one, without sounding like a complete Debbie Downer, and two, to make it sound like I'm just bitching. I've said this before, but as an athlete, we are allowed to be critical. We are allowed to have criticisms of shows, reasonable criticisms. If your criticism is that, well, I didn't like the color of the dumbbell, that's not real. That's not a criticism. My criticism has specifically to do with the trap bar deadlift. I had no issue with the low handle at first. I started training low handle. I have that trap bar behind me. I was training low handle on it. Before our group was the open women. One woman who I've spoken to, I'm not going to name her out of respect for her. She raw dogged the deadlift, no straps, because the rule was that once your time starts, then you strap in. So it made it a little bit interesting. If you take a long time to strap in, that's on your time. Like, you're losing time on that. So she decided to go at it with no straps, which, smart. save time. She picked it up, it tilted forward, and because the trap bar we were using was upside down, those tall handles were now on the bottom and they're not very high up off the ground. The corner of the handle came down on the top of her foot. One of the reasons for that is because, unlike the trap bar behind me, the opening in this trap bar was not that big. It certainly wasn't as big as the one behind me. You could fit two people in this one. In the one we were using, it was much more narrow. So if you are used to a wider stance on your trap bar, couldn't do that here. I'm assuming she was. Her toes were flared out a bit because she was using it like a leg press, as you would do on a trap bar. It's very quad dominated. She picked it up, it tilted forward, and the corner of the handle came down and crushed her foot. So she's lying on the ground, being tended to. Our group is up next. Okay? Noted. I get up there, no knurling on the handles. I've been given excuses as to why that is. Knurling cuts our hands, it tears calluses. I don't care. I truly do not care about that excuse. There's no excuse as to why we couldn't all 4 lanes use the same trap bar. Or at least give the bigger guys a big bar with a big opening. That trap bar cost me points and potentially cost me a higher standing with how everyone else did. That was my best event. This is where I get salty. Because if I sucked at deadlifts, then it wouldn't matter. And I wouldn't be making this video. Or at least this portion of the video. But that was an event I didn't expect to win, but I expected to place higher. Because that's what I should have done. And it didn't happen. I had my figure eights. I had chalked hands, liquid chalk, and figure eight straps that were so tight that when I fell to my knees because I was in excruciating pain, they couldn't get the straps off. There's no excuse for that. There's no excuse for the bar being low handle either. And I defended it initially. But I'm going to use the same argument here that I used for the yoke deadlift last year. Another event I was good at, but thought it was needless. Hard for the sake of it, without bringing anything new to the show. The spectators don't care. They don't know the difference between a high handle and a low handle deadlift. Only the athletes do. Leave it high handle. A trap bar deadlift is a trap bar deadlift. Who gives a shit? It didn't need it. The reason I'm angry is those 2 injuries didn't need to happen. They didn't need to. And yet they did. And this is where I think I'm going to lose people, because they're going to think that I'm bitching and moaning because I'm one of the ones that got hurt, but I'm also upset. And I think as an athlete, as someone who pays to do this sport, pays into this federation, I have every right to voice my opinion and my criticism. And you can disagree with me, that's fine. That's well within your right as well. And talk to me about it. We'll have a discussion. But from where I'm sitting, it didn't need to happen. The tire flip. The tire flip is one I've gone back and forth on, because there's no way we could have done it inside. The floor was it was too wet. There was condensation. People had been sweating, spitting on it, probably pissing on it at some point. Like, the floor was just way too wet to do anything with. It would have been way too dangerous. We had to do it outside. And Mother Nature didn't cooperate with us. Fine. Mother Nature didn't cooperate with us. Shit happens in that regard. But it wasn't safe either. And this is where the argument of, well, it's strongman, you have to adapt. This is where you lose me. We are not pros. We are not being paid to go do this. We all paid to go to this show. Most of us have work on Monday. And now at least 3 guys can't, or at least work properly. And I've heard every excuse in the book as to why they got hurt and why it's their fault. Interesting take. One was an Achilles tear. Can happen, right? You're pushing off that foot, it can go. Okay, fair. Tire flip is a notorious bicep killer. I've heard that it's one athlete's fault because he had a sore bicep going into it, so that's his fault, apparently. I guess. I don't know. One athlete who had no previous injury on bicep because the tire was wet, and he told me this specifically. I'm not speaking out of turn here, not speaking out of school. He told me this specifically that when the tire slipped and he tried to re-grab it, that's when his bicep tore. You can't dry those tires off either, by the way. I heard someone shout that while we were out there. Just dry them off. That's not how rubber works. You can tell who the city it is because that's how they think. At least this, but they being this person, not city folks, this individual. You just push the water around. There needed to be. This is where hindsight's 2020, and when you're running a show, you expect everything's going to go smoothly, so you don't always have a backup in place, and that's fair. I think there could have been a better job at getting a backup event ready right away. The option that was given to us was trap bar deadlift hold for time, which on the bar we had, which had no knurling, would have been how long with chalk? Like a few seconds, maybe, depending on the weight they put on it. And then when you're doing a grip event like that and going to max time and it falls out of your hand, now that's going to come down on someone else's foot. Like, what? No? You want to do a time event, do a front hold for time then. At least then it's a little bit safer. It was put up, it was given to us to vote on, which I also didn't agree with. You can't leave it up to a bunch of meatheads. We're not capable of making smart decisions on our own. Leadership, organizers need to do that. They need to just say, this is what we're doing now. That's going to piss off a lot of people, sure. But when the organizers say safety is our number one priority and then leave it up to us that make unsafe decisions on the regular, now we have a contradiction. Now we have now we're not on the same page because we will make the meathead decision every time. That's what we'll do. We're looking to you for guidance and safety to say, no, the tire's too wet. The ground is too wet. Someone's going to get hurt. We're going inside. We will figure this out inside. Come on in. Hey, we've decided we're going to do keg over bar for reps with the implements that we have, right? Or, we're going to do a yoke Zercher carry because we've got the yokes and we've got the weight. Something other than leaving it up to us because we will make the wrong decision every time. Now, one final piece of unfortunate news and business to get through. A friend of mine put up a post. I'm not going to name her because I don't want her to get more hate than she's already gotten. A friend of mine was there watching, and as a spectator and as a fan, thought she'd give her opinion on what she saw, some of the unsafe things that happened. And she was blistered for it and bullied to the point that she had to take the post down. I'm going to get called biased for this because they're a friend of mine. But for a group of people who claim to be the strongest, the most mentally tough, and a sport that is supposedly inclusive, y'all sure are a bunch of hypocrites. Lot of hypocrisy there. I see posts about how this is a family sport. Everyone's welcome. Give us your thoughts. Give us your feedback. We want your feedback. Oh, you're criticizing us and you don't do strongman? You. That was the sentiment. That was the opinion. Because she's an outsider and doesn't compete in strongman, she doesn't get an opinion, apparently. As a spectator, she's not allowed to have that. No, 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 sorry. No. This is our community. This is our little gatekeep. No, no, no. We don't want to hear from you. How butthurt do you have to be that you can't take criticism from somebody watching? Oh, her facts were wrong. Oh, they were. They were wrong. Yeah, yeah, they were wrong in her post. So and so was wearing straps that were loose when this happened. No, they weren't. I saw the video. I have the video. Her facts were right on that. How about that? She said someone got hurt because the tire slipped and it tore their bicep, but that's not true. That is true. And I have proof of that. She didn't name anything specific, really. She just saw unsafe practices that went beyond competition standard. And to be attacked by a very well known strongman official page and to be told, well, just don't go to strongman shows. What a joke. An absolute joke. It's such a bad look for the sport. It's a bad look for the community. It's a bad look for all of us. And I am so disappointed that it happened because I have been one that's ranted and raved about this community, what it's done for me mentally and the people in it. And that rings true for 99.9% of it. But that 0.01% slipped through. And this is what happened. She doesn't get an opinion. This is what we've come to. We are amateurs. We paid to do this. It happens. Strongman, get through it. Sure. At a pro show with $10,000 on the line or better, fine. Shit does happen. At an amateur show where I paid for a t-shirt and a 3D printed medal, no, that's not good enough. That attitude doesn't fly with me. I'm sure I forgot something in there in what I said. And I will apologize now if you're listening to this and um and you've lost respect for me. But again, every one of us is entitled to our opinion as a fan, as a family member, as an athlete, as a host. And we should be allowed to give that opinion safely without being bullied. And that's not what happened. And I've seen the messages to know. So I'm going to come down from that and we're going to close this out on a positive. That's what we call a sandwich. And now I'm hungry. So I'd like to go over the podiums and the winners. We're gonna go lane 1 to lane 4. In lane 1, the U57 women had 2 competitors. Andrianne took first place over Jennifer. Again, I'm going to preface all this with, if I butcher your name, I apologize. A few people came up to me and they said I was close. Some people said I was really close. Some people said I was way off. I apologize. Novice lightweight women had 1 competitor. Congratulations, Caitlin, for being there. 40 plus masters lightweight women. Lynn took first place over Andrea. and Valerie was in third. Close race for second and third. They were tied, but it went to the yoke, which was a tiebreaker, and Andrea did it in 22 seconds versus Valerie's 29. So congratulations, Lynn, Andrea, and Valerie. U64 women, 5 competitors. Brienne took first place with 24 points. Chelsea, second place, 20 and a half points. And Cordelia in third place. So congratulations to the women there on their podium. The novice heavyweight women also had 5 competitors. Nicole took first place with 23 and a half points, followed by Razima. I hope I got that right. Second place, and Ava took third place. 50 plus masters women. Carrie Poole, frequent commentator on my videos. Thank you very much, Carrie. Took first place. Congratulations. 25 and a half points. Close race here. Maria, second place, 22 and a half points. So very close race there. And Louise took third place. So that's your podium for the 50 plus women. U73 women, 6 competitors. Olivia, first place, 23 points, barely edging out Caitlin by 1 point. Caitlin, second place, and Allie coming in third place. Congratulations to the women there. Not sure what happened with the Masters heavyweight women, the 40 plus. They were one of the ones that neglected to not do the tire flip at the end. That's why it's blocked out. So your podium there is Chantel, Donna, and Chantel. That makes it easy enough. Lane 2, U82 women. They also opted not to do the tire flip at the end. 4 competitors, podium, Callie taking first place, followed by Julie, and then Amber third place. 1 teen boy competed, Bryce. Congratulations, Bryce, on your first place. Masters 50 plus men, Jeff Bowman taking first place. 5 competitors here. Jeff Bowman took first place, 22 points. Emmanuel, second place with 17 points. And then Andrew Moreau taking third place with 15 points. So another tight race for the Masters 50. Novice heavyweight men. Wow, 7 competitors here. Great news for the novices that are growing the sport. 7 competitors. Liam took first place, followed by Dylan and then Kenton. Congratulations there. U90 men also opted to not do the tire. First place U90 men. Reed took first place, Corey taking second, and Bradley taking third. Congratulations, gentlemen. Lane 3, novice lightweight men, just 1 competitor. Congratulations, Amin. Another one I probably butchered. U80 men also opted to not do the tire flip. So they will end with first place, U80 men, being Roman, second place, Sean, and third place, Ben. They had 6 competitors in total. We have the 40 plus Masters lightweight men. They also opted to not do the tire. First place, Mike Chambers. A special shout out to Mike because Mike and I go way back. We've been friends for many years. Mike took first place with 35 and a half points over Kyle, who had 31 points, and Adam Arsenault, 28 and a half. Adam, good for you, my friend. Battling injury. He tore his Achilles, I want to say. Correct me if I'm wrong. So battling back, coming back in and taking third place. Big win for Adam. I'm sure he's happy with it, but I don't want to speak for him. 40 plus Masters heavyweight men. Adam taking first place. They also opted not to do the tire. Adam, I'm getting out of strongman. McDonald taking first place, followed by Jonathan and Matthew. Matthew? I'm assuming it's French because there's a U on the end. So congratulations, gentlemen. The U105. I'm going to take a moment here just to talk about this division because the U105 men, 14 people to begin with, big class, lots of points to go around. First place, Kyle, 57 points. Sean finishing second, 54 points, 3 points off of first. Right behind him, Nate Moffitt, 52 points. So 5 points separating first from third. Then we have Chris and Josh, who tied for fourth and fifth at 51 points. So now we only have 6 points separating first and fifth. Because they tied, they go back to the yoke time. And Chris beat Josh on the yoke by 1 second to finish in fourth. That is a competitive division. That is a fun division. That would be a fun one to watch. For all those to be that close, unreal. That congratulations, gentlemen, on putting on a heck of a show. Lane 4, your podium for the open women: Cassidy, Annie Carver, and Sarah in third. Another tight race. Cassidy had 17.5 points, followed by Annie, who had 15.5 points, so 2-point difference, and Sarah in third at 14.5, so 3 points separating first from third. Tremendous battle. The U120 men, my group: Jake, as I mentioned earlier, but I'm going to do it again. Jake finishing first with 56.5 points, followed by Scott at 48 points and Ryan Stanley at 44.5 points. Congratulations, gentlemen, in my division. Open men, another tight one. Ethan taking first place, 39.5 points, followed by Dan Bartlett at 32 points, and then Tyler 1 point behind him at 31 points. Now, the open men were missing a couple of people. BJ had to pull out, and so did Marshall. So 2 heavy hitters not being there really, really suffered in this group, because, and by suffered I mean would have liked to have seen them there, because it would have been a heck of a fight. Just finishing off the podium, special shout out to Mike Brown. Mike is he's like a stereotypical strongman, I say, in that he may look intimidating, big, hairy, broad, wears sunglasses inside because he has a sensitivity, tattoos, but one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. If you watch any of my videos, you'll know Mike is there cheering me on because of his big booming voice, and he'll cheer anybody on.
Go, Big Phil! Let's go, PDL! Send it, Phil. Yes!
Does not matter division, does not matter who you are. If Mike's there and even knows your name, he'll cheer you on. He finished off the podium by just 1 point. Considering he just got back from Norway because he was competing, doing a stone event over there midweek. I don't want to speak for him, but I would assume he feels really good about that. He blistered the yoke time at 31 seconds. So, 31 seconds. So, congratulations, Mike. I know not a podium, my friend, but still a good finish. Adaptive women, the adaptive woman was Carrie, and Jeff King was adaptive men. They were both a lot of fun to watch throughout the day as well. Congratulations. And congratulations, Carrie. She competed at a world record event and set some records. I apologize, I don't have them in front of me. I meant to, but I don't. So congratulations to all the podium finishes. I believe first place, other than the novices, get to go to the Arnold. So congratulations if you're going to go. Good for you, and good luck at Nationals. So 53 minutes. I told you it's going to be an hour. Should have taken the under. I know I said the over, but should have taken the under. Unless I stretch this out and just keep rambling. I've got my Nationals qualifier. I think. I'm going to wait to find out for sure. Nationals, real quick. Trump Circus Dumbbell, 180 and 200. That's going to be a good go. Trump Deadlift, 605, 655, and 705. Again, going to be a good go. Sandbag Steeplechase, a 300-pound bag. Farmer's Carry, 310 per hand. Less confident. And Atlas Stone Over Bar, 365 pounds. Oh, that might be a big fat zero. And by might be, I mean probably. But will be fun anyways. In that time, I'm also going to send in my videos for the OSG Online qualifier, just for fun. I don't think I'm going to get there, but I mean, there's no harm in sending it in. I believe it's a max axle and a sandbag over bar for reps, I believe. I could be wrong, but I think that's it. So I'm going to send those in. So that's it. Hopefully you've enjoyed the journey we just went on together. Hopefully you're not too mad at me and you continue to follow. I believe I'm almost at 80 subscribers here now, so thank you very much. I really appreciate that. I will hold to my word that if I get to 100, I will do a giveaway. I appreciate everybody's thoughts and opinions. I look forward to the messages. Thank you all that have supported me up until this point, those who will continue to support me, the ones that I lost, I apologize, and the ones that I've gained, welcome. If I forgot anybody, I'll make a note of it and mention it in my next video. If I forgot any points, I'm sure I'll put up another one. But the next video you see will be some sort of training video about my OSG prep or nationals prep. We'll see. But until then, stay strong, and I will catch you on the flip side.